Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So a short presentation and education session on diabetes, and all the information here that you are going to see is mainly from the National Institutes of Health in Washington DC. Now the National Institutes of Health in Washington DC, they are the world's apex organization and body for research into any science of medicine. So they have a huge big campus right in the center of Washington DC. It is part of the US Department of Health Services, and they do path-breaking original research in the field of medical sciences. They are not staffed by doctors, they are staffed by scientists. Generally, to get entry into the National Institutes of Health, you require a minimum of 3 to 5 PhDs. Unless you have at least 3, 4 or 5 PhDs, they won't even consider your resume. So they are an organization which is what we say is the last word in medicine. Okay. So they have the first word and they have the last word, right? So some slides I'm going to present to you in the beginning. Basically, this is from a slide from John Hopkins just to show the location of the pancreas, the stomach, the gallbladder and the liver. Okay. Now, as we know, your pancreas are responsible for secreting insulin. Now, in this slide, this is how your stomach looks like, and this is how your pancreas looks like. Your pancreas is attached to the bottom of your stomach, and the pancreas has sensors. So the pancreas is able to sense what is the glycemic index of the food that you have eaten. In other words, how much of carbohydrates you have eaten. And so whatever you eat comes into your food pipe, from your food pipe into your stomach, it gets digested, and from the stomach it moves to the intestines. Your intestines are surrounded by a lot of blood vessels. So these blood vessels will absorb all the carbohydrates, protein, minerals, vitamins, fat, whatever you have eaten gets absorbed in the blood, and the blood is then responsible to carry that to every cell of your body. So your blood is like a transport mechanism which transports what you have eaten everywhere, to every cell of your body. Okay. Now, when you eat something which has got carbohydrates, your pancreas will sense how much carbohydrates you have eaten. In other words, what is the glycemic index of the carbohydrates that you've eaten. And accordingly, your pancreas will secrete insulin. They will secrete insulin only in proportion to how much carbohydrates you've eaten. They will not make more, they will not make less. So your body's computer is so well tuned and so well defined that it's a marvel of nature, of God, to have put together something so complicated and utterly amazing as this. To maintain blood sugar 80, a normal blood sugar of 80 fasting per person, your beta cells, now these are beta cells, what you can see here, the blue dots, these are beta cells, and it is the job of the beta cells to secrete insulin. Alright. Now, so if you are going to eat a lot of carbohydrates, your beta cells are going to be under pressure to produce a lot of insulin. And let us say that, us Indians especially, let us say, we get up in the morning, have a couple of biscuits, have a breakfast of toast or poha or rice or idli or vada or whatever, and then move on to tea time, again biscuits or samosa or some bhajia, and then lunchtime is rice and roti and dal, rajma, chole, whatever. So even in South, sambar is basically dal, which is again carbohydrates. So right till evening, you are putting pressure on your beta cells to secrete insulin. Okay. Now, what happens, sir, if I tell you that for 5 days you don't sleep? What will be your condition on the 6th day? Will you be a normal person or will you be zombie-like person? You will not know where you are. You will probably not be, conscious of yourself. So this is what we are doing to our beta cells. और ऊपर से रात को सोते सोते भी कुछ खा के सोते हैं. Okay, let's have some ice cream. Let's have something sweet. And so now we go to sleep, and again we've given work to our pancreas to produce insulin. Now, okay, I've talked to you about insulin. So, and I talked to you about carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates have glucose. The carbohydrates that I'm talking about right now, what we are talking about in our daily diet, in the morning till evening, is basically glucose. Now, glucose is fuel for the body, is fuel for any living being. The basic fuel is a sugar called glucose. And glucose needs to enter every cell of your body. Now, how does glucose enter the cell? It cannot enter the cell without the use of insulin. So that is why insulin is produced. So it is like saying that, suppose I tell you that, just imagine that this room, this hall, is one cell of your body. Okay, and you have blood outside with all the glucose and with the insulin that your pancreas has produced. Now that glucose needs to enter the cell. The glucose can enter the cell only from this entrance, and the entrance is locked. It's not an open freeway. Okay, so insulin is the key which will open that lock for glucose to go in. If insulin is not there, glucose will not be able to transfer from your blood to your cells, to any cell of your body. So basically, what is diabetes? So diabetes, now, we come to a very simple explanation now. What is diabetes? Diabetes is when the glucose in your blood remains in the blood and does not transfer. And why it does not transfer is because insulin is not enough. That insulin cannot open the lock, and so glucose cannot enter. So now, you go to a doctor, let us say, and your blood sugar is little high, and you go to a doctor, and he will probably tell you that you have pre-diabetes if your blood sugar is 120 or so, fasting 110, 120 or so, fasting in the morning. He will tell you that you probably have pre-diabetes. So now, what is pre-diabetes? The normal blood sugar was supposed to be 80, and now it is 120. Now research, as I'll show you later, research by the NIH conclusively shows that once your blood sugar touches 120 to 140 level, 60% of your beta cells are already dead. So those 60% died because we gave them so much work to do that they started dying off. And when they started dying off, then the insulin production was less. And let us say that they start dying from here. Now, as it is, we are eating a lot of carbohydrates and our beta cells are now dying off. And we don't know that, we can't see that, but they are dying off. So when they start dying off, the balanced beta cells in the pancreas now get more work to do, still more work to do, because they are still being told to make insulin. And your diet is still the same, you haven't changed your lifestyle. So, now what happens? You are hastening the process of beta cell death. So, that's why diabetes is a progressive disease which progresses faster and faster, because as you keep eating carbohydrates, you're putting pressure on the beta cells. The number of beta cells alive are now reducing, and consequently, the rate of death of the beta cells will keep increasing till a day comes when your blood sugar really goes very high. Now, when you went to the doctor, he told you that you must make lifestyle changes, you must do a lot of exercise, you must run, you must do this and you must do that. Okay, so you got motivated. You went to the gym, and you went to the treadmill, and you must have heard a lot of stories about somebody young in the gym on the treadmill suddenly had a stroke and died. Lot of cases like this. So why did that young person suddenly, when he was walking in the park or when he was in the gym or when he was doing any exercise which was strenuous, suddenly have a stroke and die? So why did that happen? Now just look at this. The glucose remained in your blood. It did not transfer. Your heart did not get the energy that it required. It has to continue to work. It has to continue to pump. It needs energy for that. You went to the gym, or you did some strenuous exercise, or you went for a walk. Now what did you do? You gave your heart even more work to do. And now the heart requires even more energy. But the energy supply is now already depleted, because that glucose stayed in your blood, it never transferred to your heart. Now, so what happens? There comes a stage when your heart has no energy left. And when there is no energy left in a car, when there is no petrol left in a car, it will stop. So similarly, your heart will stop. Immediately, you will have a stroke. So, now, you see sometimes, in fact not sometimes, most of the time our doctors give you wrong information without even understanding the science behind what they are talking. Okay, so common sense dictates that people who have diabetes and who have a lot of sugar in their blood, whether it's a good idea to be doing a lot of exercise, something that you have to evaluate. Okay, now let us say that the doctor then gave you some medicines. He gave you some tablets. Okay. Now they start with metformin, glimepiride, move on to Genovia, and then to sitagliptin and stuff like that. So what do these medicines do? As we have seen from this slide, what you require is the insulin. It is insulin now which is in less supply because your beta cells are dying. But the doctor gave you tablets, right? He didn't give you insulin, he gave you tablets. So what do these tablets do? These tablets will squeeze whatever little insulin these dying beta cells are capable of producing. And जैसे आप कपड़े निचोड़ते थे ओल्ड टाइम में धो के आपने पानी पूरा निकाल दिया, तो उसी तरह से these medicines will squeeze out whatever little insulin these beta cells are capable of producing. And in the process, the beta cells will start now dying faster, because now you are forcing them. As it is, you overwork them. Now you are overworking them even more to the limit. And they reach a point where again your blood sugar starts coming up. You got a little bit of insulin because of that medicine, and then you went to the doctor, and then he gave you a stronger one. And he gave you a stronger one which did even worse to your pancreas. And ultimately another one, he added another one, till the day he created what is called as total pancreatic failure. So there was no beta cells alive. Your beta cells alive came to near zero. That's it. Okay. Now the next stage is insulin. So then he will tell you that now I will inject insulin. Okay. Now just coming back to this issue, insulin is a $46 billion industry. Alright? Insulin is a $46 billion industry. There are only 3 companies in the world who make insulin, and all 3 are American. Of course, they have given their work a little bit here and there, and they've got people to make it for them. But the bottom line is that in spite of getting $46 billion every year, are they going to, do you think they're going to put in even $1 on research to cure diabetes? No, because that goes against their business model. Their business model is that everybody should have diabetes and should take medicines, tablets, so that you get pancreatic beta death complete, that is pancreatic failure, and then you get on to insulin. And so the bottom line is, who wins? The pharmaceuticals industries make billions and billions of dollars. $46 billion I told you is only insulin. What about all the medicines that you eat, which are like 200 rupees for 10, 300 rupees for 10 tablets, and you have them twice a day and thrice a day. So you count how much of money you are going to spend over your lifetime. And the burden of that is coming to the underdeveloped countries like India and other countries who have no health insurance, or people have no health insurance. You have to pay out of your pocket. So how can a poor person have access to those kind of funds? But anyway, so the bottom line is that they are not interested in curing diabetes. Okay, and they have made a huge big fear out of this, that diabetes is something which is incurable and you can't cure it, and only I can manage it for you by giving you medicines and insulin. So you better be dependent on me. Okay. So this is just a slide of the human body inside. This is a blow up of your beta cells. So your pancreas, and this is like your beta cells. So there are millions of them in your pancreas. Okay. So I'm not going to go into detail of these studies. I'm going to be just touching upon the important points. So now, what are the symptoms and causes of diabetes? Increased thirst and urination. First symptom. Why increased thirst and why urination? Okay, because now what do your kidneys do? Your kidneys are there to filter the blood and throw out whatever impurities are there in your blood. And they sense that there is sugar in your blood, so they want to throw it out. Kidneys are basically a filter. It's like a RO filter. So it gets to throw out, its work is to throw out whatever impurity is there in the blood, and it senses sugar as an impurity. It wants to continuously throw it out. So of course with that some water will also go. So you're going to lose a lot of water. You're going to be using the washroom very often. You will feel very thirsty. Increased hunger. Why increased hunger? So what happens is that your energy, your glucose, did not transfer from the blood to the cells. Now, Unfortunately, the body does not have, your brain does not have a mechanism by which it can sense what is your blood sugar level. It cannot. But your muscles didn't get energy, and your muscles are now sending a signal to the brain that I don't have energy. And the brain does the next best thing it knows. It gives the stomach a command to eat something, so you get a hunger pang. Now, is that a default? Is that a signal which was true, or was it a false signal? Is something that you have to, as a diabetic, understand, because diabetics feel very hungry. You will constantly want to eat something, and you will find mothers telling their children, "Beta kha lo, eat something." When a child will come, "I'm hungry." Okay, eat something. Now parents are feeding that diabetes as well. So now, whether that additional carbohydrate burden was required, no. As it is, that carbohydrate is staying, that glucose is staying in your blood, it's not transferring. Now you ate something more, your blood sugars get even higher, and then higher, and then higher. Okay, fatigue. Why is there fatigue? Because there is no energy in your muscles, so you're going to feel fatigue. Blood vision. Now what happens is, what happens to your blood when it has got high sugar? What happens to, if I take a glass of water and I put sugar into it, 1-2 teaspoons, what will happen? It will become thick, it will become viscous, right? Gaढ़ा हो जाएगा जैसे बोलते हैं. So when something becomes so viscous and so thick, it cannot flow, it cannot circulate also well. And the arteries in your eyes are very, very minute, very narrow. So blood circulation is affected. When blood circulation is affected, that part of your body starts dying faster because there is no nutrition. And so your eyes will be affected. Numbness and tinglings in your hand and feet. So you will be lack of circulation in your extremities, areas furthermost from your heart will have less blood supply, and you will feel numbness and tingling due to lack of blood circulation. Sores that do not heal. So now, you must have seen diabetics are told to be very careful of any sore on their legs or feet. And so why does this happen? Why do these sores happen? What happens is that when you have an infection, any infection, it could be a viral cold, it could be something, it could be anything very small. Now, the virus or the bacteria is also a living organism, and glucose is the fuel for every living organism. So when your blood itself has a lot of glucose, now that bacteria or that virus is going to become stronger and stronger, feeding out of your own blood. Alright? So you can take antibiotics, you can take 1 dose, twice, the doctor will repeat it. Ultimately you will say, आजकल तो antibiotics don't work. काम नहीं करता है antibiotics. But the point, or like doctors are giving too much antibiotics, but the point is that there is no solution for the doctors, nothing, that science is very limited, there is nothing more they can do. So they give you antibiotics and still the problem does not go because your blood sugar is high and the virus or the bacteria is going to feed off that and become stronger and stronger. Okay. Unexplained weight loss because your muscles are not getting energy and they are going to start dying off. They are going to lose weight. Now, symptoms of type 1 diabetes can start quickly in a matter of weeks. Now, what he says is that a lot of people are today diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And type 1 diabetes symptoms can start within weeks. You can say, I was okay till a couple of months back. I went to my doctor, I was fine, everything was good. It's only 2 months and now my blood sugar is 260. And this is very common, especially in type 1 diabetes. So, type 1 diabetes is slightly different from type 2 diabetes. We'll come to that later. So, okay. So, what is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes occurs when your own immune system for fighting infection attacks and destroys your own beta cells. So, your brain is giving a wrong signal to the pancreas. Now, we have in our body beta cells, as I told you in the pancreas, but they are T cells. They are T cells in your body which are supposed to be your body's immune system. They are killer T cells which look at every cell on your body, something like a policeman. They will go and scan. They have the ability to scan every cell of your body to see if there is any disease, and they are supposed to destroy it. But if that T cell program itself is corrupted, that T cell turns its attention to the healthy cells and starts destroying the healthy cells. And that's when, type 1 diabetes comes in. That's when cancer comes in. That's when a whole lot of autoimmune diseases, as we call them, all these are autoimmune problems, and that is diabetes, cancer, thyroid problem, PCOD, and so all these are basically autoimmune problems. That means your brain has stopped identifying, or which is the friendly cell. It has started killing off friendly cells as well, and so now this is on the rise, and we will come to the reasons why this is on the rise. So now, this is type 1, and the type 2 diabetes is what I explained to you earlier. That's the gift that we gave ourselves. We ate a lot of nice carbohydrate, tasty food, dal chawal. People tell me very proudly, and that I love my aloo parathas for breakfast. I don't care if I have diabetes, but मैं तो आलू पराठा बंद नहीं कर सकता. Or if somebody is from down, I cannot stop that idli for breakfast. I just have to have it. I'm sorry, I'll take medicines. I will take tablets. I will take insulin, but I need that carbohydrate. Or somebody will say, I'm a dal chawal person. I just love dal chawal. I'm a very simple person. I love dal chawal. Now what's that? Again, carbohydrates, a double dose of carbohydrates. Dal also and the rice also. So now, we need to educate ourselves basically before we can make lifestyle change. So the doctor will tell you, make a lifestyle change. The point is that the doctor is not going to explain to you why to make a lifestyle change. Okay, so when you don't understand it, your compliance is not going to be there. So we introduce a term here called insulin resistance. So now what they are telling us is that type 2 diabetes usually begins with a condition called insulin resistance. Now, as I told you, that it is the job of insulin to enter each and every cell, and to allow glucose to enter each and every cell. So the insulin is going to open that lock to allow the glucose to come in. Now, insulin resistance is when your brain gives a signal to that lock. Don't allow glucose to come in. Don't allow insulin to do its job. So, you will have a person with a blood report of his insulin is very high, but he's got diabetes. So what's happening is that his beta cells are producing a lot of insulin. They're very healthy, but they are not transferring. That insulin cannot transfer from your blood to your muscles, to your cells. And in the process of making a lot of insulin, your beta cells again start getting overworked, so they start dying. So high insulin resistance is again one of the major causes of diabetes. Now, Indians are more prone to type 1 and type 2 diabetes because we have a genetically high insulin resistance. Okay, so now I want you to, whenever a lady is expecting, she is producing, her pancreas is producing insulin for 2 people, and obviously the beta cells are overworked. There is no surprise that that lady gets down with diabetes. Although it's temporary diabetes, called gestational diabetes. So what happens is that a lot of ladies during maternity, during pregnancy, they get diabetes. So, but we also know that after delivery, after a few weeks, she cures herself. The body becomes fine, the diabetes goes away. Now, this common sense tells me that beta cells first died and now they came back to life. How? Something happened, right? No doctor has ever addressed this issue. No scientific paper has ever addressed this issue. But if you look at things with just a common sense point of view, let us say that that lady became fine again. So, that means, that gives me a sure short indication that dead beta cells can rejuvenate and become life again. Right? It's happening all the time with every lady, 99.9% of the time. We see it, but we don't question it. We don't learn from that. So the thing is that our body has a self-healing process. Okay, if you allow that self-healing process to work, it will cure you of anything. But when you take a lot of medicines, you suppress the healing ability of that body's healing system, and that strong medicine takes over and shoves everything else aside, and therefore now your body cannot perform its role because you are taking a lot of strong medicines. Okay. Now there are certain medicines that the NIH is telling us also harm beta cells and disrupt the way insulin works. What are those medicines? Vitamins, some of the vitamins which we consider to be very, very good, and children are given vitamins, from a very young age. So you go to a doctor and they give you vitamins drops, okay? And the mother gives the child vitamin drops. Side effect, diabetes. Who is telling me this? It is the NIH which is telling me this right here. Okay. Now, diuretics. Diuretics are pills which are given to people with hypertension. It is the primary medicine given to people with high blood pressure to reduce their blood pressure. So what it does is that a diuretic will reduce the water in the body, will flush it out, and thereby reduce the volume of blood in your body. And in the process of reducing the body blood volume, it will reduce the pressure. Side effect, diabetes. Anti-seizure drugs, HIV, pneumonia. Any medicine you take for flu, cough, cold, pneumonia, side effect, diabetes. Medicines which you take for rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, lupus, ulcerative colitis, side effect, diabetes. Okay. Statins. People who have high cholesterol are given statins. So, side effect, diabetes. Now, how many times a year are you taking any of these medicines? Let's say starting for flu, cold, cough, vitamins, hypertensive drugs, arthritis medicines, asthma, ulcerative colitis. How many of us are taking on a regular basis? I'm sure a lot of us are taking. And then we have diabetes as well. It's not surprising that we have diabetes. As it is, we eat a lot of carbohydrates. So we have a double whammy in the sense that we have a lot of carbohydrates as well as we have a love for popping pills. So when you have a lot of medicines, it doesn't come with what are the side effects. The doctor doesn't tell you. So is there any need to have so many pills? In the olden days, my grandfather had a cold and cough or little fever. He just left it off. He just told my grandmother something. She put some haldi and hot milk and she made some things at home, and it took the same amount of time. It took 3, 4, 5 days. Even now it will take 3, 4, 5 days. But now you went to the doctor, you ran to the doctor, the mother was so concerned, oh my God, my baby has, cold and cough and she's sneezing, and took it to the doctor and got a whole big prescription of medicines. And the side effects of those are worse than the cold cough itself. Okay, so why are Indians more prone to diabetes? Diabetes is a public health problem, is now emerging as an epidemic, and by the year 2025, 3/4 of the world's 300 million adults with diabetes will be in non-industrialized countries, and almost a third will be in India and China alone. And there is evidence from several studies that the prevalence of type 2 diabetes is increasing in migrant Indians. Now, what does this mean? We had this impression that diabetes is a lifestyle problem. You ate a lot of rich food, you didn't exercise, you didn't do a lot of work, you went in the car, you sat in the AC the whole day, so you got diabetes, right? Wrong. What he's telling us is, you could be a farmer in the village and sweat from morning to night, and the prevalence of diabetes is even more in the villages today than it is in the cities. So why is this happening? Okay, we'll come to that. So obesity, central obesity, increased visceral fat, consumption of high calorie, high fat, high sugar diets are major contributing factors. Plus, we have a higher degree of insulin resistance, so we do not eat too much of fiber in our food, and of course all these things are there. So all these things add to the problem. But this is another study by the Australian Health Care. I'm not going to get into that. Now, I made a statement sometime back that when your blood sugar crosses 120 to 140, 60% of your beta cells in your pancreas are already dead. Now, the doctor did not tell you that. He told you had pre-diabetes and there was nothing to worry about. 60% of your pancreas is already dead. And this is the study which was done by the NIH to show what is the percentage of beta cells functioning in your body at that time. And I will not go into a lot of detail about this study. It's a huge study. I'll just put little parts of it here. But just to show you that the importance of pre-diabetes is not to be underestimated. Because ultimately they want you to get onto medicines and then onto insulin, so that is their goal. But we have to understand. Okay, so now the NIH is telling us that, look, these medicines, they cause pancreatic failure, and insulin, it causes higher insulin resistance, and it has a whole lot of problems. So, what is the cure for diabetes? Beta cell. If we can rejuvenate the beta cell, that means we can cure diabetes. Okay? So they started work on that. Of course, it's still in a very early stage when they said that can diabetes be healed? Can type 2 and type 1 diabetes be reversed and cured? Not just reversed, but cured. So they started working on this. And so whether you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, let us be very clear on this. Ultimately, your beta cells are what are affected. Your beta cells are dead, your pancreas are affected. Whichever diabetes you have, whatever the cause of the diabetes, whether it's now a new one, 1.5. So how do we do that without drugs? How do you heal beta cells without drugs? Okay. Now, this is a very important study conducted by the NIH, and that is a fasting diet may help regenerate a diabetic pancreas. So what does that mean? What is a fasting diet? If I told you, sir, with diabetes, if I told you that you have whatever little carbohydrates you want to have for breakfast and lunch, but post-lunch till next day breakfast, period of 16 hours to 18 hours, you had a close to zero carbohydrate diet. So now what will happen? You will be giving your pancreas rest for 16 to 18 hours every day. And when you give your body rest, when you sleep, you rejuvenate and you become fine. So when your pancreas can get 16 or 18 hours of rest every day, your healing process will cure the beta cells and bring them back to life. Now, the point is, I'm not asking you not to eat nothing. What I'm saying is, have close to a zero carbohydrate diet. So what is that? We'll come to the section on diet later. But just understand that this is called a diabetic fasting diet. Okay. Now, so this is, T cells in the brain. In the body you have T cells which actually are supposed to protect you, and then they turn against you. They become like a traitor, they go against you. And so something is wrong with that. Something got broken. What got broken and why did it get broken? So this is a study to show that something got broken. Now, so ultimately the NIH told us that look, in the West we have nothing to cure diabetes. We have nothing. We have no solution. Okay. But they didn't tell this to the world. Okay. This was the study. They said, okay, we should see how in ancient India and in ancient China, they used medicinal herbs to cure themselves. Okay, so what did they do? What did they use? There must have been something which they knew which we don't know even now. So they started this research, and it was a huge research. Of course, it never saw the light of day by the media because a lot of reasons. But so the point is that I'm going to come to the important parts, but to skip a lot of it. I'm going to come to the important parts, and that is that although there are currently a number of effective Western diabetes medicines available for treatment management, but fewer side effects and lower cost is still a big challenge. That means all these medicines have huge side effects: weight gain, bone loss, and increased risk of cardiovascular events. These side effects could become more prevalent due to continuous use, which you have to anyway, because they have no cure, so it's a lifelong disease. So you have to keep taking them, and the side effects become more and more. Now, herbal medications treating T2DM can target multiple mechanisms, including enhancements of insulin sensitivity. So remember we talked about insulin resistance, how your insulin resistance is high in Indians, and insulin resistance goes up with the use of a lot of medicines and other things. So what these herbs are able to do is reduce your insulin sensitivity. That means decrease your insulin resistance. Simulation of insulin secretion. That means what? A dead beta cell which is not producing insulin can be made to secrete insulin, which means rejuvenation of beta cells. And reduction of carbohydrate absorption. So if I have somebody who says कि मेरे को तो पराठा चाहिए ही चाहिए, he can still have his paratha because that carbohydrate up to a limit will not be absorbed. It will pass through. So, unlike Western medicine, which usually contains a single active ingredient, herbal concoctions may contain various active ingredients targeting multiple mechanisms. So, herbal medicine is based on a holistic theory, which puts an emphasis on the integral body. In the Chinese and in Indian cultures, traditional medicine has long been the foundation in the treatment and prevention of many diseases. Approximately 800 plants have been identified for the treatment of diabetes. 800 plants. Are we using any of them? Why? I want to ask this audience why we are not using even one of the 800 plants. We are supposed to be pioneers of Ayurveda. We are supposed to have Ayurvedic centers all over the place. We have a lot of knowledgeable people in this field. Why are we not able to do this. 800 plants have been identified. Out of these 800, 400 are super effective. Super effective. Okay. And so what do these herbs do? They can decrease the carbohydrate absorption, which is what we want because we are sometimes resistant to making lifestyle change. 2, they can improve insulin sensitivity. They can increase peripheral glucose uptake. That means whatever glucose is there in your blood can be made to transfer. That means your insulin resistance will break down that glucose which is in your blood, which should not build up in your blood, will be able to enter the cell. And that means that your autoimmune part is also getting cured. So they can also target and heal T cells which are gone against you and which have created that autoimmune problem. Okay. And stimulating insulin secretion, so that is rejuvenation of beta cells. Now, so what are these herbs? So now they have listed a lot of herbs. The first number 1 on the list is Germanium sylvestre. Okay. Now, there are some medicines on the market. You see, Madhunashnivati and something like that. It's very popular. They are using just minimum quantity of germanium. You have a tablet which has got germanium sylvestre and maybe 1 or 2%. And they have so many other things. And of course, in a tablet you have to use fillers, you have to use gum, you have to use binders, you have to use preservatives, chemicals, you use a whole lot of other things. How much of the real herb are they really using? So, what is the aim of these Ayurvedic manufacturers? Obviously, it is that you stop giving your money to buy that glimepiride and metformin and stuff, but you start buying his, and he is also not curing you. So he is going to keep your blood sugar the way it is, but he is not going to rejuvenate the beta cells. But the beta cells can be rejuvenated, and the germanium is the number 1 medicine, number 1 herb for that. So these are the botanical names which have been listed in the study, which you can see on your screen. There is no magic here. This is not something which the world did not know for centuries. We knew it all the time. It's just that we just forgot how to use it. And so these are in Chinese medicine. These are the herbs which the Chinese have been using over centuries actually. And so all these, ginkgo biloba is one which you may have heard of because it became famous for, then ginseng is another thing which you must have heard of. The Koreans and the Chinese, they love to eat a lot of ginseng every day. And you may have heard that it gives you strength and everything. But it's also number 1 medicine for diabetes. So all these herbs listed here are the top 10 herbs for diabetes. If I was to combine these 10 herbs and have it, can I get a cure for diabetes? Yes. Can I rejuvenate my beta cells? So simple. Okay. So now these are the herbs that Indians have been using. And Tinnisfolia cardifolia, I'd like to just bring this to the forefront. Tinnisfolia cardifolia is a herb called Guduchi Giloi. Okay. It is one of the most prized herbs in the Indian system of medicine. That is Ayurveda, one of the most prized herbs. It can do things which are across the spectrum for everything, and I'll come to this as a separate topic, as a separate study. Tinnisfolia cardifolia is a very, very unique herb. So, okay, all these herbs put together. So what is the conclusion of the study? It is evident that many TCM, that is traditional Chinese and traditional Indian herbs, possess anti-diabetes activities by interacting with various drug targets, and they have low cost, easy access, and herbs such as ginseng, mulberry, radix are excellent candidates for long-term use. During the development stage, product standardization, quality control, and assurance. Now this is where we lack. We don't have product standardization, we don't have quality control, we don't have all those things. So somebody buys a third grade herb from somewhere, and because our land and water and everything in India is already polluted so much that it is that food which is giving us sickness due to toxins, and now we want to use that land to produce herbs which have got medicinal value. So obviously it doesn't happen. So what do? They put steroids into it, and then they give you some kind of an effect. But that's basically what is happening in the market today. So we need dedicated people who can produce quality herbs, organic. They should be organic without the use of any pesticides or fertilizers and chemicals. And then when you have a herb which has got medicinal value, that's what you want to use. And obviously that is not going to be so cheap, because it is now something which is a very, very powerful product and costs money to grow. Okay, so now Cocina indica in the treatment of patients with diabetes. Cocina indica is a creeper which grows widely in Bangladesh and many parts of Indian subcontinent. You must have heard of kunduru, a vegetable called kunduru. Okay, now kunduru is Cocina indica. So Cocina indica, they conducted a double-blind control trial with preparation of leaves and of course the fruit of the plant. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Out of 16 patients who received the experimental preparations, 10 showed marked improvement in their glucose tolerance, while none of the 16 patients who had a placebo had any improvement. So this is a huge, very important thing of a lot of significance. So you see, Cocina indica is very freely available in India 12 months a year. It is it's quite a tasty vegetable, it's quite cheap, it's not very expensive. And if diabetics were to eat that twice a day, there is no reason why your diabetes will not go away. Alright? But they have to tell you this, right? So why are they not telling you this? We'll come to that later. So Tenisfolia cardifolia, one plant, many roles, is commonly known as guduchi, and what are the anti-diabetes property? Okay, so it has the capacity to rejuvenate beta cells. Anti-toxic effects. That means if you have toxic build-up in your body, you've eaten a lot of medicines, you had a lot of toxins and carcinogen from your food and from your water supply and from the air, it has the power to remove that. Anti-arthritis, anti-osteoporosis. How many of us don't have back problem, this problem, that problem, pain in the bones? Anti-HIV, anti-cancer, antimicrobial activity, antioxidant. Antioxidant is again anti-cancer. Now, if I told you all this, you wouldn't believe me. But when the NIH tells you something, you don't question it, because that's the last word on the subject. Nobody else has a higher authority than them, because they have studied it vigorously for so long, and then they give you a conclusion. So, my mother, a couple of years back, had dengue fever, and as you know, that there is no medicine for dengue fever in allopathy at all. In fact, allopathy doesn't cure anything. So she was in the hospital. I had taken her there because she had pain, and it developed very, very fast. So I was giving her guduchi. So the doctor came in at that time and he said, "What are you doing?" So he said, "I'm giving her Tenisfolia cardifolia." I didn't say guduchi because Tenisfolia cardifolia is a scientific kind of name. I thought he wouldn't understand. So he said, "Wo kya hota hai?" So I said, "That's giloi." And in North, it's like giloi, is good for this, is good for that. So he really got very angry and shouted at me. He said, "How can you bring her to the hospital and give her Ayurvedic products? This is useless." So I took this study in the evening and I went and threw it at his face. I said, "You don't know what your own NIH is telling you. You better first learn and then come and do job, the kind of things that you say to patients. You should first learn what you should be learning. This is science. Whether it is a different branch of science which you haven't taught doesn't mean that it's wrong. You should have an open mind. And when the NIH says that I can use Tinosphoria cardifolia as one of the most effective treatment for dengue and chikungunya and other things, then you have no authority to tell me, no, I'm sorry. So he apologized to me and said, go ahead, do what you want. So the thing is that basically the conclusion is that Tinosphoria cardifolia is a versatile resource for all forms of life. So even if you have pets, you can use Tinosphoria cardifolia. There are reports already discussed that the plant extracts have compounds in the form of alkaloids, glucoside, lactose and steroids. So now people tell me steroids are bad for you. Now something is that, there is steroids made in the lab and there is steroids in the plant. Every food that you eat, every plant that you eat has steroids, natural steroids. There can be no life without natural steroids. So people give steroids a bad name, but it's not really that bad. Natural steroids, you cannot have life without natural steroids. So suppose I make a Ayurvedic herb and somebody who's, a lawyer goes and tests it in the lab and says, this has got steroids. Of course it will have steroids. You should go and learn biology before you start telling me that this has got steroids, so this is bad for you. I said, you eat steroids every day in your breakfast, lunch and dinner if you're eating food, if you're eating plants. No, I don't. I said, go find out. So that's how it happens, very unfortunate. Okay, now Gymnemium sylvester, as you remember, is the number one herb for diabetes, right? Now, Gymnemium sylvester is called by the Indian name of Gurmar. Okay, you must have heard of Gurmar. No? Okay. So, use of Gymnemium sylvester in insulin dependent. So like what they're saying is that medicines and all are okay. They are small things, you can get off that. But even if you are heavily dependent on insulin, you can get off insulin as well by using Gurmar. Gurmar is good mar, sugar killer. Okay, so in the ancient times, our Rishi Munis, when they gave it the name, they gave it a name of Gurmar, matlab gud ko marne wala. They gave it such a name that even an uneducated person in the village would know by looking at that tree that this is a natural sugar killer and I can cure myself of diabetes. Today you have Gurmar growing all over the country, but nobody even knows, and we go and have that glimepiride and stuff like that and then go for insulin and we have forgotten our own culture. Okay, this is what it looks like. It grows naturally in India, Bihar, Central India, Konkan, Western Ghats, all over the country, almost Kerala as well. So what does the study say about the wonder drug against diabetes? And this is not a new study, this is something which has been done a long time back. So, now, what is it good for? It's for diabetes, okay, weight loss. The side effect of diabetes is you lose weight and this is going to, you start having the medicine, you start gaining weight and this is going to cure you of that. Metabolic syndrome, stimulating digestion, as a laxative, softening the stool, diarrhea increases. So what it does is it also cures your kidney. Your kidneys get affected in diabetes, okay. So you saw the first thing that gets affected is your kidneys because it has this, increased use. There is a lot of sugar in your blood and the filter is getting choked. So Gurmar has the capacity of also clearing out that filter, that kidney. So you find your kidneys, a lot of improvement, malaria, cough, snake bites, eye complaints. So your eyes are again one of the first things that get affected by diabetes, asthma, inflammation, cholesterol, stimulating pancreas to secrete insulin. Okay. Now, so So you have genuine Sylvester, which you can have as a tea also. You can have it in so many different forms. So now I'm coming to an important part of my presentation, which is basically a lifestyle, your diet. So what are we eating? Why are we killing our beta cells by eating so much of carbohydrates? So now look at this chart. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. People say that don't eat sugar, have good, don't eat this, don't eat that, have this, have that. Okay, what is the last word on this? Jowar, 73% carbohydrate. That means in 100 grams of jowar, there is 73 grams of carbohydrates. In ragi, 72%. So people tell you ragi is very good for you. Have a lot of ragi, especially for breakfast. My God, 73% carbohydrates. Rice, 78%. Whole wheat, 70%. Besan, that is your chana powder, 61%. Kidney beans, 61%. Arrowroot. Now the new trend, when you go out and eat in the restaurant, they don't make the curry with, tomato and piyaz and, sit and go it over so much of time. They don't have time. They use arrowroot powder. It gives you very good consistency. It has also got 83% carbohydrates. So I have a lot of diabetic patients who say, I just ate out and I didn't eat anything. I just had fish curry. I had shrimp curry. I didn't eat any carbohydrates. There you are. You had curry, no? So that was arrowroot powder, 83%. Okay. Apricots, dry dates, honey, jaggery, 95%. Compared to that, look at the vegetables. Spinach, bottle gourd, cucumber, snake gourd, figs, strawberries. Look at these fruits. So, how much of vegetables do I have to eat to get, let us say, something like 75 grams of carbohydrates? So, say vegetables, 100 grams of spinach and bottle gourd has got 2.5, 3 grams, say on average 3 grams. So, to get 75 grams, I have to have close to 20 kilos of that vegetable. So, just imagine. If I didn't eat anything, I had only 3 rotis for breakfast, or 3 parathas for breakfast, or a little bit of rice and 2 rotis for lunch, or something like that. So, 1 katori of dal, 40 grams of carbohydrates, 1 roti, 40 grams of carbohydrates, 1 paratha, 60 grams of carbohydrates. An average person in India is consuming about 450 to 850 grams of carbohydrates per day in the form of very simple food, not rich food, dal, chawal, roti. Now, what should we be eating? Vegetables and fruits, which we are not. How many of us eat fruits? Do Indians love fruits? No, we don't. We don't eat fruits. In fact, I was giving a diabetes presentation at some medical facility the other day, and the young girl in charge of my project tells me, I cannot eat fruits, I'm sorry. So I said, but that's not my problem. You have diabetes type 1, you have to make lifestyle changes. So you better start eating the right kind of food. Now the thing is that all non-vegetarian products, fruits, milk, everything has close to very low carbohydrates. Okay, now this is how I would put it visually to you. 20 grams of carbohydrates. Do you think you can fill your stomach with half a bun? Do you think those vegetables on the plate will fill your stomach? Yes. So those vegetables are enough to fill your stomach. So 100 grams of 20 grams of carbohydrates is all you will get if you eat this. And if you eat this, you will probably require 3, 4 or 5. So how much is that? Already 5 or 6 times of this carbohydrate. So how much pressure are you putting on your beta cells? Okay, very simple. 20 grams. Do you think you will have only so much of rice? How much rice do you eat when you have dal chawal, let's say, or sambar chawal? How much rice do you eat? you eat a lot of rice, which is probably 4 or 5 times of this. So that's about 100 to 120 grams of carbohydrates. And coupled with that, you have 2 helpings of sambar or dal, and that's another 40 and 40, 80 grams. So you're talking about 200 grams of carbohydrates in one meal. And then you say, thoda sa meetha, little bit sweet. I just want to, get that feeling. So now you are actually what? Diabetic. Okay. So no wonder Indians have big tummies and we are diabetic. You may not have big tummies, but you are diabetic. Okay, tell me something. What happens in a traditional Indian home? You introduce rice or khichdi or dal chawal to your child at what age? 6 months? You see what you're doing? Why are we world leaders in diabetes? You are giving that child a high dose of carbohydrates. Her pancreas is so small. A very high dose of carbohydrates right from 6 months. And that's an addiction which you have created from 6 months. People start smoking, people start drinking at the age of 16, 17, 18, 20, 25. That is difficult to give up. What about a carbohydrate addiction which you started at 6 months? If I tell a patient that you have to stop your rice, you have to stop your dal, can you do it? It's virtually impossible because we have been addicted to it from the age of 6 months. So that is an even stronger addiction. It's actually a medical problem. So, hoping for, just saying that this is a lifestyle problem and it will run away from us is not going to solve the problem. What do the Ayurvedic herbs do? Even if you eat some carbohydrates, they will prevent absorption. Remember what I told you? They will prevent absorption in the intestines. So, you can still have some carbohydrates, but it will prevent absorption. But that doesn't give you the license to have 200 grams of carbohydrates in each meal. So you have to think about this very carefully. And when you go to the doctor, you go to the nutritionist. The nutritionist, yeah, thanks. Okay. So when you go to the nutritionist, he gives you a diet plan. And I've seen the diet plan of almost all of the diabetic patients who are here. It is 1 roti for breakfast with sabzi, or toast, 2 toasts with an egg, and then biscuits at tea time 3 or 4 times a day, and then little bit of rice and little bit of roti and dal for lunch, and the same thing for dinner. Now, is that an educated person? The best nutritionists in the country are doing that, the best. Okay, you go to, name the hospital, you go to the doctors, they are giving you this diet. Alright, and then with that, they'll give you dimipiride and sitagliptin and Jardiance and then insulin. Right? So, and then we say that why is diabetes such a killer in this country today? Okay, because now I get a lot of doctors who are diabetologists and who come and take medicine from me. And when they see this education, they are shocked. They say that this is so simple and this is so much of common sense. Why didn't the world know about it? So I said, I don't know. I mean, we all have, you are a doctor yourself. So today, your child has diabetes, so you come to me, but to your patients, you are still giving those medicines, right? So we have to realize something. Okay, now 20 grams of carbohydrates. These are nuts, walnuts, peanuts, leaves, berries. 20 grams. Not much at all. 50 grams of carbohydrates. Even this rice is not enough. I will say that most people eat double this or at least triple this in every meal. Okay. So each of these is 50. This is also 50 grams of carbohydrates. Now, look at this, vegetables. 1, 2, 3, 4 on an average. This is 100 grams of vegetables. If you eat 200 grams of vegetables, how much would the average be? How much would the average be? Tell me. If I make a general, let us say 2.5 grams per 100 grams is the carbohydrates in this vegetables. So in 200 grams of the vegetables, I would get 5 or 6 grams of carbohydrates. Compare that with 200 grams you ate in the week. So, is diabetes difficult to cure? No. If you are taking insulin and I told you as a patient that you follow this diet of vegetables, what will happen? I will ask you to stop your roti, stop your bread, stop your pasta, just a little rice. And why just a little rice? Because your brain works on glucose. Your brain requires a minimum of 50 grams of glucose a day. So I will give you a little bit of rice, but not wheat. Why not wheat? I'll come to that later. So now, on an average, if you had 5 grams of carbohydrates in every meal, 200 grams of vegetables is, I think, I don't think we can really eat much more than that, but even if you did, it wouldn't really harm you. So from 5 to 7 grams you would consume per meal. Compare that to 200. So can I not get people off insulin just by eating this diet? Yes, I can. Very easy. Very, very easy. So is the cure of diabetes difficult or easy? It's the simplest thing actually, if you ask me. Alright. Look at these root vegetables. Also not too much. Okay. Some of these are a little higher, like quinoa, very healthy, but it has still got about 4 or 5 times the carbohydrates in vegetables. Dals, about 12, so it is still about 3 times, 4 times. So I would say eat less. I'm not saying that don't eat it, have less. So if you want to combine your dal and chawal, you have to be careful because both are a lot of carbohydrates, or your sambar and chawal, so you have to be very, very careful. So on the days when you have rice, I suggest you have a curry vegetable, there's a ghiya ki sabzi or something like that. I was thinking, you just like a curry vegetable, don't have the dal. On the day when you have the dal, then don't have the rice, so that you don't get a double carbohydrate intake. Now these are the killers, right? Look at this: chocolate, cookies, pasta, rice, bread. These are the killers. This is 100 grams, and I'm sure we are not going to limit ourselves to 100 grams. Okay, look at these fruits, not much. Now, look at these fruits. Also not much. So why do they tell you to not have fruits? The first thing the doctor or hospital will tell you is don't have fruits. But they are giving you roti and rice and dal. They are saying you have 2 rotis and 100 grams of rice and dal, but fruits they are telling you not to have. Whereas fruits only have on an average of 8 or 9 or 10 grams per 100 grams of carbohydrates. Whereas that has got, like 10 times. So they tell you to have that, but they will not tell you to have this. Why? Any answer? Very, very important point here, and I'm going to come back to this later. Okay, dry fruits are also very good for you. You can have dry fruits, very nutritious. I have people who tell me that my doctor told me not to have almonds. Why? I don't know. He told me ek toast kha lo. Well, ek toast kha lo or almond mat khao. So you can have 100 grams of almonds. How can you have 100 grams of almonds? That's a lot. You just have 4 or 5 almonds. You say no to that. But you tell that person to have 1 or 2 toasts with some jam on it and butter on it. My God, what are you doing? How much of carbohydrates is that? So, but anyway, they do this all the time. Now, this is one of the most important studies, again, by the National Institutes of Health, which I want you to listen very, very carefully. The direct impact of wheat on type 1 diabetes. So they are saying that type 1 diabetes is increasing so much nowadays, and this is an autoimmune problem, and this is your in our genetics and what is happening, and nobody knows what's happening. This study came out in 2017, published by the National Institutes of Health. The direct impact on wheat, that means your diabetes today, the major cause, the number one major cause is wheat. And this study never saw the light of day. Very, very sad. Why? We'll come to that. Okay, now they gave you a diet. They made 5 diets. Now look at this. Maize, wheat, poultry, all these other things. Okay, 100%. And what did they say is that the wheat in number 1 diet was 0. The wheat in number 2 diet was what we eat today. The wheat in number 3, 4 and 5 diets were ancient wheats which are no more in production today, but which were there 200 years back, 100 years back. They found that and they compared. Now what did they find? Number 1 was a non-wheat diet. Number 2 was a standard wheat diet. Number 3, 4 and 5 contained wheat which had different strains of protein. See, proteins are there in wheat, and so they had a different strain of protein in each of these different types of wheat. And what was the result? At the end of the experiment, mice on diet 2 was significantly heavier than 4 and 5. And diet 1 was intermediate. So if I say that don't have wheat, that is also not totally correct, because the diet 1 was intermediate. It was not 0 diabetes. So the onset of diabetes was observed only in diets 1 and 2. That means 3, 4 and 5 there was no diabetes. So in the olden days, you say my dada, grandfather, they didn't have diabetes because they never ate that. They ate a different type of wheat. Today, the wheat which you are growing and which you are eating is a totally different type of wheat. And this is the source of all the problems. So, the onset of diabetes was observed in diet 1 and 2. Let me go back to the diet 1 and 2. What is diet 1 and 2? Wheat 0, maize 35%, 20 and 21. This is normal wheat. These are the other wheats which we are not in production today. So, what was the conclusion? So, very interestingly, they say that the diets 1 and 2 had significantly elevated glucose in urine, correct? Whereas 3, 4 and 5 were absolutely fine. So what was the reason? Why was type 1 and intermediate? Type 1 diet, why was that intermediate? There was 0 wheat, but there was maize. So they have come to the conclusion that the protein which you got in wheat was very similar to the protein which you got in maize. So maize and wheat have to be eliminated from your diet. So I go to the extent of saying that bajra, jowar, gehu, corn, eliminate these from your diet, and type 1 diabetes will go away. Or if you want to eat it, get back the old variety which was not which is not in cultivation today, because unfortunately the world has changed for so many reasons anyway. So we give our patients, we have atta, we have keto atta, which is made from almonds and some seeds like watermelon seeds and all that. And one roti will have only 1 gram of carbohydrate. So this is the keto flour that we recommend to our patients so that they get the they get the taste and they get the feel of having roti, but you're not eating wheat. And so you have, Haldiram bhajia, people are very, very fond of as a snack. So now they substitute for that also. So you can have your bhajia, and it's again made of almond, and so it's not made from gehu and all the things. And so like this you have your matti. In the north at least people are very fond of making matti at home, and that is again wheat. So you have substitutes. So there's an industry come up, an entire big industry come up. Chocolate fudge cookies. I get this from children. I cannot live without chocolate fudge cookies. So I tell them, no, and you must have at least 4 a day. So they look at me like this, and they look at their parents and this. How, my parents don't even give me one. So I said, well, you have this. So there is almost zero carbohydrates, and it's made from healthy things, almond and from seeds, and then there's stevia, there's sugar free. So, you can give your kids as much of healthy. When you say healthy diet, now this is a healthy, again, this is a factory product. I'm not saying that you can't make it. This is just a factory product. This is meant for people who are working. But if you have time, you can make almond atta at home. You can make all those seeds ka atta at home. You can mix it up with stevia and make a lovely cookie for your child. There's no reason why you can't do it. Okay. Coconut cookies. So like this, a lot of things. Now, so we have this huge big study again, that Panax ginseng. Panax ginseng can cure T cells which are already damaged. Now T cells which are damaged are the cause of autoimmune problems, including type 1 diabetes. So when we give this medicine, this herbal concoction to our patients, we also give them Korean red ginseng, which has got actually very, very good effect on insulin resistance as well. So it brings down the insulin resistance. It's the number one herb to bring down insulin resistance. And it also boosts your immunity, because what it does is that it brings the enemy T cells, which have gone haywire, reprogrammed back to normal. So it fixes the problem. So it actually brings back your immunity to every disease. So, okay. So ginseng is another wonder. If you can source it from South Korea or from China, organic ginseng, not the one which you get on, e-commerce sites, they will not be of much help. So this is basically for doctors. So we give metformin 850 mg as the only medicine that we really ask them to give along with this herbal medicine, because it has been found to reduce insulin resistance, especially in type 1 diabetes. And we have a lot of children. Today hospitals in North India, at least are full of 6 months old, 7 months old children with type 1 diabetes. And I always get asked this question, why? And the answer is very simple. The answer is wheat, corn, maize, all these things which we are giving to 6 months old children. And a 6 months old child doesn't have the immunity of, even we get affected. So 6 months old child will be very prone to having his or her T cells damaged very fast. And the result, type 1 diabetes. So, but tell me something. Okay, now I'll address this issue. Why is this study not come out in the world about wheat? Why is this information being suppressed? Obviously somebody is suppressing it. So who are the people and why is this happening? The richest man in the world is Mr. Warren Buffett. Mr. Warren Buffett owns the most productive land in the US, Canada and South America, is the biggest exporter of wheat in the world. And I used to carry it on his ships, on his wheat on my ships. And those studies are there with the companies like Cargill, biggest companies in the world for wheat production. He owns almost the entire South America, the whole Mississippi River belt, all the production of wheat and corn is Mr. Warren Buffett. If Mr. Warren Buffett gives $1 billion to the media and says, suppress this, it's so easy to do. I mean, $1 billion is a lot of money for media. Okay. But then what does he gain? He gains a lot of business. So, these people put a public image. One, they do a lot of philanthropy. So, if you give $100 billion in philanthropy and you gave $1 billion to suppress this information and you gained $100,000 billion, the point is that, okay, now allium cepa is red onion. So, again, red onion juice has been found to be very effective in the treatment and cure of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And allium cepa is also a homeopathic medicine. So I kind of know about homeopathy and Ayurveda and allopathy, having studied like almost all three. So I'm able to tell you that you don't have to have 100 milliliters of red onion juice. You can have allium cepa mother tincture in homeopathic form, 20 drops twice a day, and you will be fine. So you can use that to also supplement your diabetes. So if you make lifestyle changes like cut down on your carbohydrates to a maximum of 50 grams of carbohydrates a day, which is very easy to do, and have your almond rotis or whatever, have a lot of vegetables, have a lot of fruits, cut down on your wheat totally remove all wheat products from your diet, and very important is your diabetic fasting diet. That means from lunch till next day morning, almost a zero carbohydrate diet. So how do you get a zero carbohydrate diet? So let's say a lot of stir-fried vegetables and some vegetable soup. If you eat non-vegetarian like fish or South Indian fish or shrimp, you can have that. But basically it's a lot of stir-fried vegetable and vegetable soup for dinner, and it's a zero carbohydrate diet close to. Okay, and so basically this is now there is the International Food Information Council Foundation in Washington DC. This is again one of the only authentic sites in the world, just like you have the National Institutes of Health which does medical research. The International Food Information Council Foundation does pioneering research into food, into anything concerning food, and they are again a huge big organization based in Washington DC. If you want any information on diet and food and what is good for you and what is not good for you, don't ask Mr. Google. Please go to this website and in the search bar you type what you want to know about, and you will get the most authentic information, not written by journalists. What are journalists doing? Cutting, copying, pasting from different sites and putting together an article which even they don't know anything about. So this is all written by scientists. All articles on this website are written by the scientists themselves, and that is authentic information published in journals, in their own journals, and put up on their own website. So now I'm going to address this issue of fructose, fruits. The thing is that hospitals and doctors and allopathy tells you not to eat fruits. Like I told you before, that 100 grams of fruits have an average of about 7, 8, 9 or 10 grams maximum carbohydrates, whereas they will tell you to have 100 grams of rice and roti and dal, and which is about 70 grams, and that's not a problem. But they do not allow you to have fruits. So, okay, let us see what this organization has to tell us about fruits. Okay, so diabetes is a disorder affecting the way the body produces and uses insulin. and how it handles blood glucose. Okay, we understood this, that insulin is essential for aiding glucose transport into cells. Without insulin, the glucose will not be able to enter into the cell. Okay, people with type 1 diabetes do not produce insulin because the beta cells die due to a wrong signal from the brain. Whereas those with type 2 diabetes either do not produce enough or cannot efficiently use it. So we also killed our beta cells with type 2 diabetes and cannot efficiently use it because our insulin resistance is very high. As genetically, our insulin resistance is very high, and the more synthetic insulin you use, the more your insulin resistance goes higher. For instance, kidneys. If you have a kidney transplant from your own family member, 80% chances that the kidney will be rejected by the body. Okay, so insulin which is made in a lab faces the same problem, not so easily acceptable. You will require more and more and more insulin to do the same job. A day will come when your insulin resistance will be so high that you will not have any blood sugar lowering effect with insulin as well. So, but diabetics are very happy. ठीक है, we are eating, हम तो खाते रहेंगे. I am not going to make lifestyle change. I'll have my medicines. After that, I'll have my insulin and I will live my life. But there will come a day when that insulin also will not be able to do anything for you. Your blood sugar will go 400, 500, 600 and ultimately you will die of multi-organ failure. So, factors such as overweight, obesity, okay. People with diabetes must pay attention to the total amount of all carbohydrates, sugars and starches they consume, because fructose does not increase blood sugar and does not require insulin. Oh, this is a very, very significant statement. One of the most important points of my presentation today in this knowledge session is that fruits contain fructose. What is bad is the high fructose corn syrup which is made in a lab, but fruits contain fructose. Fructose is also a carbohydrate. Now there are two major types of carbohydrates. One is fructose and one is glucose. Glucose is there in all your cereals, all your dal, rajma, chole, rice, wheat and everything is glucose. Your other carbohydrate which has got a major role to play in your body is fructose, that comes only from fruits, and Indians don't eat fruits. So now fructose does not require insulin. So if your pancreas is dead, let us say you are a diabetic patient, you are on insulin, your pancreas is totally dead, not producing any insulin. And you came to me, okay, and I said, okay, I will treat you without even herbal medicine. I will stop all your insulin, all your medicines just by diet alone. Okay, that is using food as medicine. So now when I use food as medicine, what am I going to do? I'm going to put her on a low carbohydrate diet, 50 grams maximum per day, zero wheat products, and I'm going to ask her to eat fruits twice a day, at least twice a day. Okay, why? Because fruits does not require insulin. You see, when your pancreas is dead, there is no insulin production. You are eating glucose. Which requires insulin to get into your body, and therefore they are giving you insulin to inject. When you eat fructose does not require insulin to transfer. It can enter through this door without, even if that lock is locked and your brain has given a signal to that lock that don't open this door, don't open this lock for insulin, fructose can still walk in. So, when fructose walks into your cell, what is it doing? It's giving you nourishment. All your body organs which were getting depleted due to shortage of glucose will now get fructose, which is again an energy source. So it is like saying that I change your body's fuel from petrol to CNG. Now what did I do? I changed your body's fuel to a cleaner fuel. I don't require your pancreas. I say to help with your insulin, to help with your pancreas, I don't even require it. I'm going to put you on a low carbohydrate diet and I'm going to put you on fruits twice a day. What will happen? Most of my patients will get off insulin and all medicines, and when you are on a diabetic fasting diet, your beta cells will rejuvenate. So, in a year's time or 2 years maximum, you can cure yourself. Simple? Yes or no? Convinced? Any answers? Generally, at the end of this session, somebody from some company, big company, told me that you better be ready for lots of questions, because there are lots of PhDs and doctors going to be there. And at the end of the session, I always tell people that I am not getting any questions, I know it. Because this is the last word. And the NIH is the last word on science. And all the studies that I have put across to you are all studies by the NIH. Okay, now this was a video which somebody sent me on my WhatsApp a couple of months back. It went viral actually amongst us who are aware of health. I sent it to a lot of people, and then I called them up after a few months and asked them, Sunata? They said, no. So the point is that people have not watched it. I don't know if you have got it, but I want you to watch it. And so I'm going to put it on for you. It's about half an hour. I'm going to put it on. It's really going to be worth it. Okay? So I'd appreciate if you can go through this entire video.
Hi, I'm Subha, and in this video we'll talk about how you can get rid of the waste sitting inside your body. In other words, give your internal body a bath. Once that happens, you'll automatically lose weight, have clearer skin, greater energy, and much more mental clarity. Before we move ahead, let's discuss what happens to your food after it leaves your hand and enters your body. You may already know that first it goes into your stomach, where it's broken down, and then to your intestines, and then it's finally excreted in the form of waste. But do you think that every food takes the same amount of time to finish this cycle? Of course not. Fruits take about 3 hours to digest and eliminate. 1 hour in your stomach, 1 in small intestine, and 1 in large intestine. Vegetables take a little longer, about 6 hours. What about grains, which basically includes wheat, rice, lentils, beans? Any idea? They take 18 hours to digest and eliminate. Now, of course, these figures are just estimates to give you an idea, but basically, less the water in a substance, harder it is for our body to digest it. Now, grains take 18 hours to pass through your system, and most of us are eating them 3 or maybe 4 times a day.
Grains take 18 hours to digest. Now, what you ate fruits in the morning will definitely come out the next day. If you had fruits in the evening, also will come out the next day. If you had vegetables in the evening for dinner, will also come out. Grains, 18 hours to digest. What you had in the morning for breakfast will probably come out. What you had for lunch and dinner is not going to come out. And if you keep adding grains to your body, to your stomach, what will happen is that there will be a build-up of that fecal matter in your intestines. Okay.
Meaning, even before the last meal was digested, we throw in more food to digest, and quite naturally, the last meal is left undigested. It does not exit our body through stool. It rots and ferments and decays inside. It grows molds, viruses, fungus inside the intestines. Have you heard those creepy stories of tapeworms being found in people's intestines? Of course, those people didn't eat tapeworms, so how did they get there? Through the rotting, undigested food sitting inside the colon. You might have heard the saying, you are what you eat. True, but more importantly, you are what you ate. That burger you ate a year ago might still be sitting inside you. Stuff like bread, cheese, all these namkeen, snacks, biscuits, tea, coffee, fast food, sugar, and mostly everything that does not directly come from Mother Nature is extremely difficult to digest and eliminate. It sticks to the walls of our intestines and forms a thick coating. This is how our intestines look. They have millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi. When we eat these unnatural dead foods, they stick inside our intestines in the form of waste. Over the years, this waste forms a thick coating on the walls of our intestines. The villi absorb whatever that is stuck to it and transport it to the bloodstream. And from there, it's delivered to each and every cell of the body. Now imagine, if there's rotting dead waste sticking to our intestines, then automatically that's what the villi absorb and transport to every cell. Naturally, this waste surrounds our organs, blocks their functioning, and we call it disease. If it sticks to the layers in our skin, we call it acne, eczema, psoriasis. If it forms a stone in the kidney or the gallbladder, we call it a stone. What about excess weight? If you want to lose the waste, you gotta lose the waste. If it accumulates in the ovaries, we call it a cyst, and here comes problems like PCOD, menstrual disorders. If it sticks to our intestines, constipation, and constipation is the mother of all diseases. If this waste gets stuck in the airways, making it difficult to breathe, we call it asthma. If it forms plaque inside our artery walls, we call it cholesterol. Today, this waste might have manifested as a small problem, but if we don't clean it up, tomorrow the same waste will take a much more destructive state, like a tumor or a cancer cell. So, by taking out this waste, these toxins, disease is automatically cured, because no disease can survive in a body that's clean internally. Now, if you're not healthy, if you're overweight or constantly popping pills or having to go to the doctor every third day, then we're truly not experiencing life to the fullest. This human body is Mother Nature's precious gift to us. Soon we will return it back to her. In the time we have, it's our duty to keep it clean, bustling with energy and health, the way that she's designed it to be. If you put in diesel in a car that was meant for petrol, it won't work. To make it work again, you first need to take out the diesel and then put in the petrol. Same with us. Our body was meant for this, but we accidentally fed it with this. No wonder it's not properly working. So step 1 is to take out the bad stuff, the waste, and step 2 is to take in the good stuff, the right food. Ayurveda says, if your food is wrong, medicine is of no use. If your food is right, medicine is of no need. In this video, we'll cover step 1. In the next, we'll cover step 2. So please watch this video till the end so you don't miss out, because I'll share with you exactly what you need to do. The number one thing you need to start doing is intermittent fasting. See, the healing power that will remove the toxins, cure disease, and make you lose weight is sitting inside each of our bodies, not in a pill or a vaccine or a drug. The doctor that cures you is inside your body. And by intermittent fasting, you let this healing power do its work. And there's proof for this. When you break a bone, a plaster is placed on your arm to keep it in place, to give it rest. In a few days, the bone will automatically join itself. It's not like there's some medicine in the plaster. So what is that power that joins the broken bone? It's your healing power. When you get a cut, even if you don't put a band-aid on it, in a few days, it automatically stitches itself back together. So what is that power that stitches this cut back? It's your healing power. This healing power is an enormous, magnificent power of Mother Nature. If it can join a broken bone, can it not break stones, lumps, cysts in your body? Can it not remove these toxins? Can it not cure diabetes, blood pressure, obesity, or arthritis? Of course it can, because the healing power doesn't know what your disease is called. These terms are given by doctors. Once the healing power starts fixing, it fixes everything, no matter where it's located, no matter how long it's been there. But there's a little problem. We never let our healing power do its work. We constantly keep interrupting it. We keep diverting it. We keep disturbing it. You know how? By always eating. As soon as we eat something, this healing power leaves whatever it was doing before and starts digesting and eliminating our food. So the healing stops and the process of digestion begins. Unfortunately, we're constantly eating 3, sometimes 4 times a day. Our healing power is always digesting. We have 2 slices of toast for breakfast. Before that was digested, we put in a bowl of rice for lunch. Before the rice was digested, we put in 2 more chapatis for dinner. So the stomach is constantly working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never getting a break. It's no surprise that it will not heal, and it's no surprise that people are more sick today than they've ever been before. They're always eating. If you want this healing power to do its work, you must from time to time give digestion a break. We suggest that you give a 16-hour break to your stomach every night. For example, if you eat dinner at 8 p.m., eat nothing till 12 noon the next day. At 12 noon, you have your first solid meal of food. What you're basically doing is that you're fasting for 16 hours every day and eating in an 8-hour window. It's called intermittent fasting. In the morning, before noon, you can take easily digestible liquids such as coconut water or vegetable juices, but no fruit juice, tea, coffee, or milk. Now, this is much easier than it sounds because most of the time you're not eating, you're sleeping. Fasting might seem abnormal to us at first, but actually, this is how Mother Nature has designed our bodies. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors didn't have supermarkets, refrigerators, or food available all year round. Sometimes they couldn't find anything to eat, and our bodies have evolved to be able to fast. If anything, fasting from time to time is more natural than constantly eating 4 times a day. What hours you want to fast, that's totally up to you. Some people find it difficult not to eat food until 12 p.m. but find it easy to eat their last meal of the day at 6 p.m. In this case, you could fast every day from 6 p.m. till 10 a.m. the next morning, whatever fits your schedule. Through daily 16-hour fasts, your body gets a chance to do a little healing every day. And if 16 is too much, don't worry. In the beginning, start with 14 and then stretch. That's okay. You might already be doing 12 hours of fasting. It's not that difficult. Let's say you have dinner at 8 p.m. and your first solid meal at 12 p.m. the next morning. Your dinner, if healthy, would probably get digested in 6 hours. So from 8 p.m. till 2 a.m., your digestion hours are going on. As soon as the healing power is done digesting your food, what does it start doing? It starts healing. So the next 10 hours will be your healing hours. This is when it rebuilds tissue, fades away old scars, replaces old, damaged, or dead cells in your skin. It dissolves stones in your kidney and gallbladder, removes extra fat from your cells, breaks cysts, fibroids, and regularizes your hormones, cleans your intestines, removes the mucus blocking your airways, and clears the plaque in your arteries. Your healing power goes into the depths of every organ and pulls out the toxins lying there and pushes them out of your body through stool, urine, sweat, and breath. Now, it's also very important that your dinner is a light meal. We suggest having a salad or a soup. If you eat a heavy meal full of grains like chapati, rice, or lentils, it would take more digestion hours, leaving you with little or no healing hours. Here's the diet we recommend. Coconut water, ashgar juice, or any other fresh vegetable juice in the morning. 2 hours later, have breakfast, in which you can have a big platter of fresh seasonal fruits. For lunch, have grains, sabzi chapati or brown rice or quinoa. For dinner, have salad or a soup. If you feel hungry in between, have coconut water or fresh grated coconut. I've made videos showing some amazingly healthy recipes. Watch my recipe playlist by clicking on this box. Point is to have grains just 1 time a day. Also, do not overeat. Too much of a good thing is not that good. Always leave your stomach a little empty. So when I first started following this, I made the mistake of thinking, oh, I'm eating all this healthy food and salads, so I can eat as much as I want. So even if I was eating salads, I used to stuff myself to the brim. And ultimately, I wasn't getting the results that I was wishing for, because even though I was fasting, I wasn't getting any healing hours. Of course, soon I corrected my mistakes, and after that it was a miracle. I cured my PCOD, thyroid, hair fall in just 3 months without any medicine. The speed of how quick you recover from a disease or how much weight you lose is proportionate to how many healing hours you give to your body. If you're fasting 16 hours every night, in 1 week you have given about 112 healing hours. In 1 month, about 450 healing hours. In 3 months, about 1500 healing hours. And in 1500 healing hours, all chronic diseases, diabetes, cholesterol, PCOD can be cured from the root. If you're young or if your problem is not that old, it would probably take you much less time than even that. Just make sure you also follow the diet that I've suggested. This formula is an estimation. It varies from person to person, age to age, but the principle stays the same. Day after day, people come to me, they start fasting, they follow this diet, and 98% of the time, just about a month or two later, they tell me that they've cured their health problem that they came with. Their weight has reduced, their skin has become clearer, and all of this even after giving up medicine. In case you don't get the result, please send me an email at this address. I will personally get in touch with you and we'll figure out what might be going wrong. Mother Nature's powers are infinite. Recently, they even made a documentary on fasting. Let me show you a little glimpse.
What we're doing here is reversing all of type 2 diabetes and all its downstream complications with fasting.
It's very different than when someone simply cuts calories.
Fasting was 6 times better at getting rid of the dangerous fat.
Probably the number one thing that I noticed is weight control.
I went 7 days and lost 20 pounds.
I lost 40 pounds.
I never gained it back.
I've lost close to 100 pounds and still counting.
You actually can work out harder than you've ever done.
I've always worked out on an empty stomach in a fasted state.
I was taking 210 units of insulin a day. I haven't had insulin since.
And now think about the fact that 100 million Americans are either diabetic or pre-diabetic.
They don't have this type 2 diabetes problem anymore.
That's all they need to do.
It saved my life.
It's like better than medicine.
There's nothing in medicine today that can induce these effects.
I was on medication for high blood pressure as well as for cholesterol.
And 2 weeks later, she came in and her blood pressure was normal.
And I'm no longer taking a statin drug.
So your fatty liver is completely reversed.
Anti-inflammatory.
A host of autoimmune diseases.
And that was in 2010, and I haven't had a headache since.
The 3 most influential people in the history of the world, Jesus Christ, the Prophet Muhammad, and Buddha, probably only agreed on one thing, and that was the power of fasting.
Fasting is an essential part of our Christian faith. Christ taught it by his own example.
I need to tell everybody about the fasting. I need to tell everybody because I think it's going to save sanity. I think it's going to save lives.
At least in mice, fasting cycles are as powerful as chemotherapy.
Continued to see that lump diminish until now it's gone.
No cancer.
For 21 years, I have been cancer-free.
Isn't it incredible? Also, every religion tells us to fast, whether it's through Rosas or Ekadashi or Good Friday. I've read rich, timeless sciences of India like Ayurveda, Naturopathy, Yoga, and they all agree on this one basic principle. Even science is proving that fasting reduces cholesterol, increases human growth hormone, and even reverses diabetes. Please see the description in the video where I've linked all such scientific studies. When you don't have to think about food till noon, you're much more productive. You get more things done in the day because you don't have to keep thinking about food. Okay, let's move on. Watch this video till the end because there's 2 more powerful things that I want to share with you that I learned from my masters that can really kickstart your internal cleansing. Number 2 is wet pack. Sometimes the waste or the toxins become stagnant in our blood. They get all hard and clogged up. One of the best ways to make them circulate is through a cold wet pack. Take a white cotton cloth about 1 meter by 2.5 meters, similar to a bed sheet. Fold it into a long strip about 10 inches wide. Dip it in cold water, as cold as you can easily bear, and squeeze it out. Wrap it around your stomach and tuck it in so that it doesn't fall off. Your navel should lie between the strip of cloth. Take another cotton strip, much smaller this time, dip it in cold water and wrap around your forehead. Take another small cotton strip, wet it in water and wrap around your neck. If you want, wear your clothes over it and continue with any work. You don't need to sit in one place. Keep it on for about 40 minutes. You can apply it anytime, even before or after a meal. Just don't eat or drink while it is on. The wet pack is amazingly effective in digesting your food. No matter what illness you have, always apply the wet pack on all three parts: the stomach, the neck and the head, because they're all connected. If you want this already ready-made, you can order it by clicking on this box. Parts where the wet pack is applied, the body becomes cold, while the rest of your body remains warm. When two temperatures are maintained in your body at the same time, stagnant blood starts circulating and automatically the toxins are also circulated and ultimately removed when you take an enema. Which brings us to point number 3. If you think you're not clogged up on the inside because you go to the bathroom every day, does not mean you're not clogged up. Let's say you're 30 years old. Have you ever seen the plumbing pipes of a 30-year-old house? Sure, water and sewage is running through them, but after 30 years, there's so much waste accumulated in the pipe that it's difficult for anything to get through. And every day, more and more of this waste is getting stuck inside you. When you eat unnatural food, it sticks to your intestines like nothing else. You need something that outright dissolves this hard, crusty stuff. Just like the black, hard, crusty stuff that sticks to the bottom of your pans and pots. How do you get rid of it? You soak it in water. Water is a universal solvent and dissolves almost anything given enough time. So how do you get water in your intestines? Through an enema. If you have a headache, sinus congestion or any other sickness, nothing will help get rid of it faster than this and fasting. Get one that looks something like this. Some chemists carry these things, but it's easier to find it online and they're very cheap. Wash it out a couple of times and then pour about 300 to 500 ml of water in your enema pot. The best place to do this is obviously a bathroom. Lubricate the tip with something natural like coconut or olive oil. Place it on something like a shelf. It needs to be higher than your butt. There are many ways to do this. Kneel down on the floor. Stick the pipe in your rectum about 2 inches. One hand holding the tip of the pipe so it doesn't fall out. Let the water empty inside your intestines. Then pull out the pipe, leave the enema in the sink and hold the water inside for about 10 minutes. Walk while massaging your stomach clockwise and then anti-clockwise. All the encrusted filth will start leaving its place. When you feel the pressure to go to the bathroom, you will be amazed to see how full of waste your intestines were. You'll feel so good and clean. Your energy levels will be through the roof and you'll wonder why you didn't do this years ago. This is completely safe and natural. What's unnatural is that we go from our home to our car to our office with all that waste sticking, blocking inside our system. When I was first introduced to it, I said to my master, I'll do everything that you're suggesting, but not the enema. But trust me, just once after doing it, it became normal. We never say, yuck, I don't want to brush my teeth because they're so dirty. So I say the same thing about your intestines. If you're starting to follow the IU lifestyle, do the enema once every day for the first 1 month. After that, do it only 2 to 3 times a week. If you have a cold, cough, fever, stomachache, or you feel ill, do it even more frequently, about 2 to 3 times a day. So I hope that by now you know exactly what you need to do to clean your body internally, how to take the inner garbage out. I feel very fortunate to have learned these timeless principles of Mother Nature from my masters, and now it's my pleasure to share it with you. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below and make sure to share this video with someone who you think might benefit from this. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.
So when there's a build-up of fecal matter in your intestines, what it's doing is you're going to have worms form, you're going to have all types of bacteria and thing growing in your stomach, So basically your intestines are lined with villi, what they call is villi. Okay, it is the job of this villi, what you can see here, to absorb nutrition. But when this fecal matter stays in your stomach for days, sometimes by the time it passes out, even for a normal healthy person. So what happens is that it starts rotting, and this rotting food produces toxins, and this toxins then enters your body, because that is what the villi is absorbing now. What is the villi absorbing? Not nutrition from the food that you are eating. It is absorbing the toxins which are now lining your stomach. So kidney stones, excess weight, PCOD, cyst, ovarian, menstrual disorders, all types of cancers, intestinal constipation. So basically what happens in your intestines is this, that there is a build-up of plaque inside your arteries, which is again what we call cholesterol. That is also a part of the toxins which is produced. So now basically whether it's a cancer or whatever disease you have, they say that most of the disease is caused by this buildup of toxins in your body, including diabetes. So all these toxins coming, now you have wheat, as it is wheat was bad for you and it's still in your body for like more than 48 hours and or maybe even more, and starts rotting inside. And food in a warm climate you keep it going to rot, and all that toxin is what your body is absorbing. So we can of course blame our land, we can of course blame our water, we can of course blame our air, but what about this worst case of toxin intake that we are doing every day, day in and day out? So what she's saying is something very nice. She says that Ayurveda says that if you keep your body clean, you will not need medicine at all, which is true. Okay, so, and if your body is not clean, then medicine is of no use, because you can take as much of medicine as you want to treat all types of diseases, but all those diseases will come again, and they'll keep coming back because the toxins in your intestine is constantly releasing that into your body, and that is coming up as some disease in some part of your body, wherever it is traveling, everywhere. So we are becoming a civilization which is entirely dependent on cereals. We say, give our children cereals for breakfast, give our children cereals when they are hungry, give them bread, sandwiches for, give them pizza, give them pasta, give them rice, give them stuff like that. What is grown on the trees, fruits and vegetables, we have forgotten and thrown out. Okay, this is the end result. We actually were originally monkeys and descendants of monkeys, and we never were used to eating cereals. Our bodies are not made to digest cereals. Our bodies are made to digest what can be plucked from the plant, from the forest. And what can be plucked was in fact fruits and a whole lot of vegetables which grew wild. And now we are eating a whole lot of cereals. So this has become a major problem. And so this young girl had a lot of problems, just like all of this population today. And she cured herself of every disease just by taking out that toxin and eating the right kind of food. So how did you take out the toxin? Let us say, so intermittent fasting is what she's saying, that you give your body chance to rest. Just like you give your pancreas chance to rest, you give your digestion time, chance to rest. Your immune system starts working on digesting your food the minute you eat food. And if you are constantly eating something, your immune system is constantly going to digest the food. Okay, the immune system that force your body's own immunity was meant to heal your body, but it cannot get a chance to heal the body because it is constantly being used to digest. Digestion of food takes up a lot of energy. Okay, so when you keep eating so many meals a day and so many snacks and everything, so what you are doing is that you are throwing in a lot of toxins in your body. Your immune system does not get a chance to work. So what she's saying is the same thing that I was telling you. Basically, instead of a diabetic fasting diet, you do a fasting diet. That means from lunch to next day morning, 16 hours, don't eat anything. You see how your cancer goes away. You see how your diabetes goes away. You see how any problem goes away. Okay, so this fasting is of course very important, but you need to get that toxins out. So how do we get those toxins out? Basically, it's a very age-old system in India. You know, the highest form of Ayurveda was called Basti, what they call as enema. Okay, so basically, enema, even if you take a plain water enema every day in the morning, you will clear out your intestines of all the toxics within a month. 1 day, 1 month of regular enema every day in the morning will cleanse your entire colon. Okay. Nowadays you have machines also which will probably inject 60 liters of water into your intestines, not all at once, but slowly, to flush out your intestines in one go. But even if you buy the small enema bag which you get in the normal chemist store, 2 liters capacity, and you do it yourself every day in the morning, in a month's time you can get all your toxins out, and you will see for yourself all that comes out of your body. You will feel so light, you will feel so good. Once all that toxins are out, and once you start making the right choices in food, you will feel so good that it is...
It is available in medicine store?
Sorry?
This one?
Yes, any chemist store, very easily available. And now I'm going to show you something what she has talked about, but I'm going to show you this. Just watch this. This is a natural colon of a healthy person. Very short video, but very, very powerful. What diseases you have is correlated with the condition of your colon.
Can you give the name of that video?
Sorry, I can't give you. There's no name to it. I just keep doing a lot of research and I found it. But I will leave whatever information I possibly can with Sraddhalu ji, and you could probably take it from him. But the thing is that correlating your diseases with your colon, and that is why Ayurveda says that all the diseases start from the stomach. It's not a joke. It's not something which they just said. It is to be taken very, very seriously. So the condition of what disease you have, you say, I only get headaches and I have irregularity. You saw the condition of the colon in that stage. So if you have diabetes, what is your condition? If you have hypertension, what is your condition? What is the condition? Basically, it all boils down to the food that you are eating, and are you eating the correct type of food? And are you giving enough time for digestion? Are you eating roti and chawal and rajma and chole and sambar for dinner? So I'm not saying everybody in the world is doing that. But the point is that education is the answer for the treatment for every disease. And that is why the role, people tell me all the time, I get people who have like, sir, I have no time. Just give me the medicine and that's it. I'll go. I don't want to sit for 2 hours of education. मेरे को कोई सिखा नहीं सकता. I know everything. I've done a lot of research on my condition. The doctors have told me everything. All the tests have been done, and I have no interest also. You just give me the medicine. But what will the medicine do unless you know this? And then I have to catch that doctor down, put him on there, and tell him, okay, I'm not giving you the medicine until you come and take that 2 hours of education. And then they came. And when they saw it, they were totally just flabbergasted and said, this makes a lot of sense. So, when we say that I have hypertension, I'm taking medicine for hypertension, does the cure lie in that tablet? Or does the cure lie, I should be able to see that colon clean. If that colon is clean and healthy, you will be disease free, for sure. Thank you.
So rice and wheat we have to cut down from our food.
Sorry?
Rice and wheat, we have to fully cut down from our food.
No, what I am saying is that wheat though you have to cut down, there is no question. Wheat though you must, wheat and maize and all these bajra, jowar and all things, you must cut down because they have protein which is good too. But apart from that, you have to reduce your carbohydrates to 50 grams a day. So for that, you have to count your carbohydrates. Basically, fruits and vegetables. If you have 250 grams of vegetables, it has only 7 grams of carbohydrates. So you eat a lot of vegetables, have fruits twice a day, maybe 100 grams, 150 grams of fruits twice a day. And so you will get enough energy for your organs without any medicine. You can stop all your medicines like this. It's no big deal.
I actually never take medicine. I used to do...
No, I'm just telling you that people who are taking 100 units of insulin per day, I can get them off without any medicine. I can get them off everything only on proper education, diet, and eating the right food and fasting.
My elder sister, she also got diabetic. And she was taking medicines before for 10 years continuously. Now she medicine stopped. Now she started taking insulin.
Yeah, so this is how it progresses. This is how it progresses. So first they make money out of you by giving you tablets, and then they give you the really expensive stuff, which is insulin. So the thing is that now you cannot live without insulin. You can live without insulin. Education. You need to be educated. But we all think that we know everything and we don't need education. Whereas we have the wrong education. To put it very simply, we have the wrong education. So you need to have fruits, you need to eliminate cereals, you need to have vegetables, and you need to follow the diabetic fasting diet. You need to clean your intestines on a daily basis with an enema, maybe once every day for a month, and after that twice or thrice a week. No, you have to put it through your anus. So basically it's a bag, you kind of keep it at a little height, and it comes with a tube. So if you buy a silicone one, it is softer, and you put a little KY jelly and you can insert it into your anus and let the water flow. You open a switch, the water will flow. So you take 1 or 2 liters, as much you start slowly, as much as your body can handle, and then you purge it out. And then you will see a lot of this rubbish which is in your colon coming out. And slowly over a month, you take 2 liters every day into your colon, you should be able to clean your colon in a month. Following which, you do a maintenance of say twice or thrice every week, and you will maintain yourself disease free as long as you want to live. You can be 100 years and still run 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers a day and enjoy life with every, whatever you want to do, disease free. The answer is very simple.
The people who are taking already insulin, like my sister, they can stop the insulin and they can start all the things.
Of course.
They can be cured.
Of course. Everybody can be cured. Everybody's body is same.
They have to make a smooth transition, gradual transition.
Yeah, so you have to stop your insulin. Say from tomorrow, she takes fruits twice a day and no more cereals, and she takes a lot of vegetables. If she eats fish and chicken, she can have a little bit of that to get her protein. If she doesn't, she can have soya. So whatever, you have to make a diet plan.
Slowly she has to stop.
And then once you do that, within a few days, your blood sugar will come shooting down. You test your blood sugar. I'm not saying that you go by what I say. You test your blood sugar every day in the morning, fasting. Okay, if your blood sugar was with insulin, let's say 120, okay, you reduce your insulin by 10 to 12 units every day, and then slowly you will see that 10 to 12 units will not be enough because your blood sugar is going to come down very fast. If your blood sugar is going to come down very fast, why do you need the insulin? You will just stop it, right?
But like she is taking insulin, so gradually she has to decrease.
It will depend on her blood sugar.
Okay.
If she changes her diet,
okay,
and if she stops eating all that carbohydrate,
okay,
then where is that carbohydrate coming from in the blood? It's not coming.
okay.
If it is not coming, then why will she require to gradually reduce insulin also? If there is blood sugar, if there is glucose in the blood, then only you require insulin.
Yes.
But if she makes the right choices, she eats the right food, the sugar in the blood is now very less. If it is very less, then why you require? So you adjust your dose of insulin to your blood sugar fasting. That's what I'm saying. Don't make any wrong moves. If your blood sugar is low, then you have to reduce insulin even faster.
Yes.
Yes. So you have to go by that reading.
The doctor used to tell that you don't take fruits and all.
Yes, so that's what I told you, that the doctor will tell you so many things. Medical science today is a business. It's an entire business.
Your criticism of wheat and maize
Yes.
is only for the new hybrid genetically modified ones.
Yes.
If you go back to the traditional ones, there's no problem at all.
Yes. So if we go back to the old ones, the thing is that we cannot feed the world population. So why they came with this new strain of wheat and all these GMO products was because you have enough productivity to feed the world population, but with this old strain you cannot do that. And so they found only one strain of wheat growing in Israel, a certain portion of Israel, which they were able to use, and there was no increase in blood glucose. The thing is that that is not commercially being grown. It is only grown in some commune where they are using it for themselves, and very smartly, very rightly so. So the thing is that if the world changes, there was a time when in America everybody was a smoker. Okay, it was considered to be good, it was considered to be healthy. Today nobody smokes. That entire industry is fallen and gone. If everybody stops cereals and stops wheat, people like Warren Buffett and all these big companies like Cargill will have to change over their model and produce more of vegetables and fruits. And that's what we want, right?
Yeah, fasting you told, no? That fasting means we have to do something like weekly once or like that.
That's a fast. No, that's a 16 hours fasting every day.
Every day.
Every day. So let us say that you have your last meal of the day at 6, 7 or 8 o'clock, and then till next day 10 or 11 o'clock you don't eat anything. So it should be, 12 hours is, let's say from 6 till morning, 6 is 12 hours. So you have to make it 16 hours. So from 6 till morning 10 o'clock next day is 16 hours. So when you do 16 hours of fasting every day, your immunity kicks in. That means your body's immune system is able to heal the body. Okay, because when you are eating, constantly eating, your energy, which is your immunity, has to leave whatever healing it's doing, and it has to go to digest the food. And so if you are constantly eating, the body does not get a chance to repair itself. Also, if you keep popping in strong pills, that will suppress your natural immunity and not allow the body's immunity to work. So you have to be very careful of what you put into your body. And when
fasting will continue for some fixed period, right?
you do it every day throughout your life. Why do we need so much food? As it is, all that sugar is going into the blood only and causing us diabetes and sickness. Why you need to eat so much? We don't need to eat so much. You'll find, I travel the world. I used to, at least till I retired. So many times. I used to travel around the world about 4 to 5 times a year. Entire globe, 4 to 5 times a year. Because that was my job, it was my career. I never paid for it, but it was my career. The thing is that you see foreigners very fit. You see Indians, young Indians, have big stomachs and they cannot walk straight. Our ladies cannot, they look sick. Why are we such a sick population? So we are sick because and then you hear comments like, "Arey, Rajma has got so much of protein, you must have it 3 times a day. This dal you must have every meal." And you find mothers telling their children, "You must have 2 parathas in the morning for breakfast, otherwise beta, where will you get your energy from?"
The same thing happening in my house.
Every house, lying out your house, every house is the same thing happening. So, are we as a society killing ourselves? Yes. And who is doing this? We are at the mercy of the pharmaceutical companies who...
So it never depends upon whether type 1 or type 2 diabetes.
Sorry?
The process which you have told, no?
It is, you will solve every disease in your problem, every disease in your body. If you follow this, you will remove the source of the toxins, and that is your complete cure for every disease. You will just be with a strong immunity. Like some people get dengue, some people don't. The same mosquito bit 10 people, 2 people got it, or 4 people got it, the rest did not. Why? Because the body's immunity was still strong. So that person must be doing something right to have a strong immune system. But today you hear very common case. I fall sick very fast. I eat little bit and this happens to me. Little change of weather, I get a cold and cough. So the thing is, why did it happen? It happened because of lifestyle problems, which were very simple, which looked very simple, like eating wheat products, eating bread, eating roti is not considered bad, but it's the worst thing you can do. Eating all these products with that protein, which if it has got that protein, it will create autoimmune problems, it will create cancer, it will create PCOD, it will create breast cancer. Women breast cancer is going very fast. Why? Same. So autoimmune problems are a host of problems, and when they come, they don't come one, they come 2, 3, 4 at a time. So one will come with that, something else will come after that, something else will come, and then you are just totally overpowered by all these sickness, so much of sickness. And as a society, India cannot afford to be such an unhealthy society as unfortunately we've become. But the answers are very simple. The answers don't cost money. The answers are very simple. What is required is a lot of self-discipline.
And this Giloy and Induri told not?
Yes.
Like the morning before breakfast?
You can have any time. You can have any time. You have 2 times, 3 times a day.
Induri is
very good. Kundru is available in the market. You give your, if you have got diabetes, you have 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What is it? You can have raw also and salad. You can have vegetable also. Doesn't matter. Both ways is good. It is one of the very good herbs for beta cell rejuvenation. Like this, there are a lot of other things. All those herbs are there. Gurmar. If you have enough quantity, don't buy the tablets. Buy the, the powder, the leaf. Make the powder at home, and then you see the effect. So you don't require too much of money. What you require is the correct knowledge, and the correct knowledge is all suppressed. Nothing coming out to you. Nothing.
Is a Giloy powder or it is available in Amazon and Lysol?
See, tell me something. How can I cure myself by getting something from an e-platform? I don't know how authentic that will be. There are a lot of reports to say that.
How to get that actually? Giloy and because I have seen, but how to get
I'll tell you. You see, you are from now Pondicherry, very close to Kerala. Let's say you go to Kerala, you go to Orissa, you will find it growing there. You know, Kerala is very good quality giloi.
What is in English that one?
Sorry? Telisporia cardu. Dimnemium sylvester. Giloi is Dimnemium sylvester. You can take all the information from there.
From Sraddhalu.
And he will put it up, and he will actually put up this talk on the website also. So you can get all the names. Take it from him. There are a lot of things which you will require. Not only you, a lot of people will require. Take all the names. Make your own medicine. I'm not saying that you need to buy it from anybody. Take your own. Take those names from the study. Make your own medicine. And cure yourself with lifestyle and medicine if you need. And you will find that you will be the best doctor for yourself.
Because when I was 31 is that time only diabetes.
Yeah, no, 31 is very.
Increasing day by day.
See, today actually it's like 6 months old babies in the hospitals have got diabetes all over the world, not only in India. So children are getting it much more and more. So that is because of the same thing, you know, pizza, bread, sandwiches. There was a time when the mothers gave them vegetables and fruits, but today no more. Today you get fruit in a candy bar. You get sandwiches for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and pizza slices, and that's what the mothers are giving them. I have a type 1 patient whose mother actually took the child off this medicine and went back to insulin just because she could not see her child not eating pizza. The child had become obsessive and required that pizza. And when she went to one of the best schools in Delhi, those children got pizzas and they got candy bars and they got chocolate chip cookies and brownies from their homes every day. And this girl would then create such a racket that she made her parents' life miserable, and they went back to insulin. And I said that, well, the choice is yours. I can only give you the information. And you know, the problem is that when children get type 1 or type 2 diabetes, the implications are far worse, because by the age of 20, they develop a lot of cardiovascular problems and other problems. They're prone to cancers, so they're prone to a lot of things. So the longevity of a child with diabetes is probably maximum limited to around 35 years of age. And the society is taking it so easy. I mean, they're not bothered about it. As if mothers are only thinking about that pizza today, and that's all their, it's very surprising, but that's what's happening. And that is why disease is growing. The solutions are not difficult. The solution for any disease is not difficult. It's so easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.